you have to find other ways to sustain the lifestyle. And I think with content and everything, the surfing community has had this adaptation.
Someone like Ben Gravy, or I don't know, I mean, Jamie's was always, I think, making pretty good money as a surfer, but like someone like Ben Gravy, I think, was able to carve out, you know, a role for himself. I remember when we were younger, we used to do like the junior competitions. I remember going to the East Coast and surfing against him and whatnot.
It sucks that a lot of professional surfers can't make as much money, but at the same time, you don't actually have to be as good as a surfer as these guys.
Good morning, everyone. I just spent the last little bit going through literally every single comment on the garage video here. How many comments was it, Jordan? Look at this. YouTube can't even keep up with the scrolling. Wow, that's crazy. Thank you, guys. So we had 1,500 comments, 1,511 comments. Thank you, everyone. And I have not made a decision, but I have whittled it down to some finalists. Heavy Claims HQ by Landlocked PA Surfer, Stoke Factory by Seistam, Nuke House by Jordan, Pineapple Factory by Richard Mogul, Dreamer's Lane by Sparto, The Graveyard by It's Jess, Claim Factory, Kahuna, Planet Gravy, Dalstar Diecast, Claims Department, John Sage, Pineapple House, H-Work, Pineapple Pit, Gary Sheets, Pineapple Powerhouse, Zach Taylor, Dream Depot, Steve West, Casa D Claims, Scott and Drew Studio, Nuclear Power Plant, Brian Doherty, Dreamers Incorporated, Max King, The Pineapple Plant, A Doland Adventures, and The Fallout Shelter by Mark Driscoll. I'll be deciding as soon as I possibly can. We got a little bit of time as we do work on the warehouse. Thank you, everyone, for your entries. But one of these people is going to be getting the sign on the wall and the merch. So, for the dream, good morning. It's on. It's been a while since it's been on.
I feel like I just filmed this. I don't think it's been that long.
It's been a while since it's been on. It's on. Nobody knows that it's on, but it's on. Ready? Let's do this.
at a bay, thinking that there's going to be a wave. Oh, he's going back out. Now, he did just say it was going to be 2 more waves, or a few more waves, but a few equals 4 hours. This is how it gets me every time.
All right, we're gonna watch a clip today. I have seen this clip before, and I was gonna make a video about it when it came out, probably half a year ago, but I actually forgot until now. Last week I was on live news in Savannah, Georgia, and that's actually what reminded me about this clip. So I'm actually gonna put both of these clips in today's video. Yeah, I just wanted to share this. The clip is about a former World Tour surfer. His name's Nat Young. He's from Santa Cruz, California. He's a few years younger than me, but when I was doing competitive surfing when I was at Grom, I actually briefly surfed against him a few times, got absolutely obliterated. But he went on to qualify for the World Tour, and he actually almost won a few big events. I think he got second place at J-Bay. I remember one other big one, but he was like kind of like a legendary underdog on tour. I think he was sponsorless for most of his time on tour, and he would get absolutely massive results. I always rooted for him, obviously. It's super fun when there's guys from America on the World Tour. Just fun to root for. So in this podcast, they talk about how pro surfing has changed over the past 20 years and how competitive surfing has become nearly impossible, or let's say increasingly more difficult to do as a career. They also touch on social media and YouTube, and Nat brings me up. So before I say any more, let's just check it out.
It's adapted to the economical reset. You know, they realize if you're not in the top 30, 20, you know, don't want to give a particular number, but you have to find other ways to sustain the lifestyle. And I think with content and everything, the surfing community has had this adaptation.
Totally. Yeah, there's like we were talking about earlier, like someone like Ben Gravy or I don't know. I mean, Jamie's was always, I think, making pretty good money as a surfer, but like someone like Ben Gravy, I think, was able to carve out, you know, a role for himself. I remember when we were younger, we used to do like the junior competitions. I remember going to the East Coast and surfing against him and whatnot. And I mean, from what I've heard, he's one of the bigger, you know, one of the most popular surfers in the world because of YouTube.
Right.
So it's cool. I mean, he is creative. He found like a cool niche. It's actually really interesting what he's doing, like surfing. I think he surfed in every state of the country.
I think I saw something like that. Yeah.
Like that's fun.
Is he He's the novelty?
He's the novelty king.
Novelty
for sure.
king.
That's fun. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I'd
surfing like Michigan, man, ripping like what?
I mean, no one else in the world has probably ever done it, so it's cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It feels like, you know, on one end, it sucks that a lot of professional surfers, you know, can't make as much money, but at the same time, you don't actually have to be as good as a surfer as these guys to make that money because of the content route. So we were talking about earlier, there's some guys out there that are super famous surfers, but then I ask a WSL surfer like yourself, and you're like, he'd just be another guy out there on the tour.
Yeah, I mean, you basically these days you either have to be like extremely good because you got to be one of the top 32 best surfers in the world. So there's a lot of people surfing now. So you got to be really good, or like you got to have a personality.
So that was sick. Thanks, Nat. I actually didn't realize Nat gave me so much props, to be honest. That was awesome. And it's cool to see him coming from the competitive background and talking about what I do and actually having some type of appreciation for it. And he thinks it's fun, and he thinks it's cool. It's actually quite an honor to hear that from someone who spent their life perfecting competitive surfing, because it's a totally different discipline. Making videos and working on how to make it through heat is obviously completely vast, different ends of the surf spectrum. So really cool to hear him talk about that. It is interesting that just watching this guy talk about a little bit about like surfers don't retire. And this is like, not to get too deep into a rabbit hole, but just discussing the podcast. This is something that I have thought about a lot over the past 8 years when I've been doing this full time. And my goal is to be able to retire from this, obviously. So I don't know, a lot to think about watching this podcast. It's an interesting one. Nat is obviously a legend, Santa Cruz legend, and I appreciate the kind words. So check it out, Athletes and Assets on YouTube, the Nat Young interview, and let's go catch some waves. All right, so we've had king tides this whole week, 5.5 feet and higher. One night it was 5.8, plus all the northeast wind stacking the tide a little bit. So it's some of the highest tides of the year, some of the highest tides I've actually ever seen. So I was just randomly driving over this bridge, and I haven't seen this in almost 20 years. There's a wave peeling under the bridge. So hopefully it's a rideable wave. It could just be peeling along the bank and not actually rideable, but there's only one way to find out. This could be the ultimate under the bridge novelty ride, just going underneath this bridge, way inside here, all the way in the inlet, nowhere near the ocean. So it's gonna be fun. Hopefully we can get one. Wish me luck. You. Oh yeah, they're roping. Hopefully they're roping under. Look at that right. It's gnarly. Dude, this is actually going to be wild. That's a bomb. Okay, that didn't go down exactly how I thought it would, but I got a few. All right, we're back at the same exact table. Heavy claims. Recently, I was on a road trip from Florida to New York. We weren't actually filming for the vlog for the first time in probably 10 years. It was only for 10 days, but I was filming for a different show that I can't actually talk about right now, but should be out at the end of this year, hopefully. I'm excited to share it with you guys. But when we were in Savannah on the road trip, we went from Florida to New York. I'm not sure if I just said that. I had the opportunity to stop in Savannah, Georgia and do a live broadcast interview about surfing. One of the anchors at the news station is Brian Michigan, a New Jersey surfer. He's a great kid, and now he's an up-and-coming big dog in the broadcast news world. So just want to say best of luck to Brian. Thank you for the interview, Brian. Good luck with your career and everything you're doing. Stoked to see you achieving such an awesome goal. It's hard to be on live TV, and Brian was really good at it. So before I talk too much about the interview, I do want to say it's interesting, just like I do dozens of interviews every year, and it's interesting to see like what people are going to ask and what type of heavy claims people are going to make, especially on live TV. Check it out.
Alrighty, everyone. Today is Weather Wednesdays, and we're talking about probably my favorite thing to do when we're not working, and that is surfing. And joining me today is probably the perfect guest. If you surf, you more than likely know who this legend is. Ben Gravy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Dude, this is awesome for me because I've been watching your videos for so long. But just for anybody who maybe doesn't know what you do, kind of explain what you do.
So I am a content creator and a surfer. I make YouTube videos about surfing, but mostly a novelty wave hunter. So I go after the strangest, weirdest, most interesting waves that I can find.
And I know you're on a trip right now with some of your crew today. You stopped by Tybee Island, got a couple waves. What's your goal with this trip?
Yeah, we're working our way up the East Coast. We started down in Miami, and we're going to end up all the way in New York, just looking for surf and just having a good time, enjoying ourselves.
So novelty waves. That's kind of the big thing that you're about. Explain to us what a novelty wave is and kind of how it's impacted your career as a surfer.
Yeah, so a lot of waves that people surf they always break in the same spot. They're very consistent. You can find them almost 7 days a week, and they're very reliable. The waves that I'm looking for, the waves that I call novelty waves, chances are either they've never broken before, or they don't break often, or they're very obscure, like people haven't really heard of them or went to go check them out. And that involves like cargo ship waves, tanker waves, ferry waves, wind fetch waves on lakes, river waves, just different stuff. So the weirdest thing that I can find is the thing that gets me excited to surf.
Now, I would say you're kind of a household name in surfing nowadays. Like there's Kelly Slater, there's Jamie O'Brien, and there's Ben Gravy. How did this all begin for you?
I picked up a surfboard for the first time when I was 8 years old. I grew up surfing the Jersey Shore, and I instantly fell in love with it. It's been a lifelong passion of mine, but I think my connection to what I've done with the novelty surfing is just in New Jersey, we don't get great waves. You guys share the same coast. We don't get great waves 365 days a year, so you have to go looking to find those special days of surfing. And it just so happens that I figured out how to find waves any day of the week, no matter what.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about the 50 states, because you are actually the first and only person to ever surf a wave in all 50 states. Tell us kind of how you accomplished this and what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced.
Yeah, so I accomplished it through a lot of research and a lot of driving and a lot of dedication. I would drive to states and I would show up and there wouldn't be a wave, or I would drive to a spot that I knew was a sure thing, and I would get there and it would be a lot smaller than I thought, and it was just a lot of dedication. It took me over 3 years to accomplish, and I just took the time and the research online to find a wave in every state, and it was a serious challenge.
You probably met so many people along the way.
Absolutely.
In places you probably didn't realize either that had so much stoke for surfing.
Yeah, a couple times I ran into people in like Pennsylvania on Lake Erie. There's like a little surf scene. I was in the middle of Montana. There's guys surfing in the river. Just always meeting someone who's fully stoked and chasing the passion of riding waves, even if it's a different wave than someone would find in California or somebody would find, at a normal beach. Even in the middle of the United States, there's surf communities, and there's people who have and share the same stoke that we do to ride all kinds of different waves.
That's awesome. Well, really quick before we have to wrap, What's the next big dream?
Next big dream, I'm going to do it. I'm going to surf in every country in the world, and I'm about 10% of the way there.
Well, hey, man, we're rooting for you. I'm sure everybody out there is rooting for you. So best of luck, and thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
This is a dream come true for me.
Enjoyable interview for sure. Thank you, Brian. Just want to say we've had a super weird hurricane season this year. Probably the weirdest I can remember, especially because they said there was going to be so many storms, but a lot of them are going into the Gulf. One went into the Florida Panhandle yesterday, so prayers for everyone who was potentially negatively affected by that storm. Here's some shots of some waves down there. It was proper, absolutely going off. But we've got some exciting stuff coming up. I'm going to California next week. Going to be doing a road trip from Southern California all the way to Northern California, scoring waves along the way. Hope you guys are looking forward to that. The warehouse it's moving kind of slow, so have no fear. I'm not forgetting about the name of the warehouse, but I will be picking the winner coming up here earlier in the vlog. Obviously, you saw the finalists, but we're stoked. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next vlog for the dream.